guys is called Puss in Boots. There once was a miller who had no more estate to leave his 3 sons, but his mill, his donkey, and a cat. The oldest son got the mill, the middle the donkey, and the youngest the cat. The youngest son was disappointed in his share. One day, saying to himself, "My brothers will surely be fine because they can join their estate and live well. I, however, am doomed. Once I've eaten the cat and made a muff of its fur to keep my hands warm, I'll die of hunger." The cat, hearing everything his new master had said, went to the master and said, "Go out and get me a bag and a pair of boots for me to wear, and I will show you that you are luckier receiving me than you think." The master went out and did as the cat asked him. Then he gave it to the cat. Once the cat had what he needed, he went to a meadow, and when he was there, he laid out on the ground and stretched himself out so he looked like he was dead. The clever cat knew that a young bunny, not yet accustomed to the evils in the world, would come and, being curious enough, look into his sack to see what he had inside. And sure enough, a few minutes later, a bunny was hopping along and went right into his sack. Quick, Mr. Puss pulled the string shut and captured his prey. Proud of himself, he went to the king's palace and asked to see the king. When he met the king, he gave him the rabbit and said it was a gift from my Lord Marquis of Carabas, which is what he called his master. The king was delighted and thanked the cat. A few days later, the cat went out again, and this time he caught a brace of partridges. He did the same thing and went back to the king and gave them to him as a gift. He was so pleased, he even gave the cat money and said thank you. This went on for a while, and a few months later, Puss knew that the king was going to be riding along the riverside with his daughter, the most beautiful princess in the whole world. He told his master to go wash himself in the river, and it said if he did, good fortune would come to him. The master did as the cat asked without question. So while he was bathing in the river, the king's carriage was riding alongside, and Mr. Puss ran up to the carriage saying, "Help! Help! My master has been robbed! The thieves took all of his clothes." What they didn't know was Mr. Puss, being so smart, hid all of his clothes under a big rock. The king had remembered the name of the Lord and the cat and the gifts that he had brought them, and so he ordered his officers to go and get the Lord some new clothes. So they went and did that and came back, and then as the Lord was getting into the carriage, he met the princess. And right when she met him, she started to fall in love. So as they were riding, Mr. Puss ran further ahead of the carriage to a bunch of men who were mowing a meadow. He said to the men, "Good people, you that mow, if you do not tell the king that this meadow belongs to my Lord Marquis of Carabas, you shall all be chopped as small as herbs for the pot." The men were frightened at the cat's threat, and so when the king asked who the meadow belonged to, they told him, my Lord Marquis of Carabas. As the king was chatting with the men, Mr. Puss ran further ahead and talked to some men harvesting a crop. He said to these men, "Good people, you that reap, if you do not tell the king that this crop belongs to my Lord Marquis of Carabas, you'll all be chopped as small as herbs for the pot." So, what did they say? That the crop belonged to my Lord Marquis of Carabas, which was a lie. So then, Mr. Puss ran further ahead to a great big castle where he knew an ogre lived. And he asked to see the ogre. When he met the ogre, he said, "I heard that you can transform into anything you want, even an elephant or a lion." And the ogre said that it was true, and so to show the cat, he turned into a lion. Then, when the ogre was himself again, the cat said, "Well, I heard you can also turn yourself into the smallest of animals, even a mouse or a rat. I think this is impossible." The ogre got really, really mad and yelled, "Impossible!" And so, to prove to the cat he could, like that, he turned right into a mouse running across the floor. So what did Mr. Puss do? He ate him. So then Mr. Puss ran outside to where the king was coming up and said, "This castle belongs to my Lord Marquis of Carabas." The king was so impressed, and he asked the Lord if it was true. And he said it was. So the king congratulated him, and then the king, the Lord, and the princess all went inside and had a nice meal. And afterwards, the king asked the Lord if he would honor him in becoming his son-in-law. The Lord accepted, and that very same day he married the princess. And as for Mr. Puss, he became a great lord and never again chased mice for work, only for fun.